All right, today we're journeying to a place that's absolutely shrouded in mystery. It's a magnificent ruin where, honestly, history and legend are almost impossible to untangle. We're going to try and explore the truth behind the curse of Bhangarh Fort. So just imagine this, a huge fortress tucked away in these dense rolling hills. By day, you see the broken walls, the deserted streets, the dust. It kind of seems like just another historical site. But then, as dusk starts to fall, something changes. An eerie transformation begins, and this place takes on a whole second life, a much more sinister one. Yeah, Bhangarh has this notorious title. It's widely known as India's most haunted location. I mean, locals, visitors, pretty much everyone has stories. They talk about hearing screams from nowhere, the sound of invisible anklets clinking, and just strange noises echoing through the ruins long after the last tourist is packed up and gone home. The stories are so intense that even the government has taken notice. The Archaeological Survey of India has a sign posted right at the entrance, and it's crystal clear. Entry is strictly forbidden between sunset and sunrise. Now, officially, they say it's for your safety. The ruins are dark, there are wild animals, it makes sense. But the popular belief? Well, that's a different story. Most people think that sign is there to protect us from the powerful forces that are said to awaken at night. So what is this curse that defines Bhangarh? To really understand the fear, we have to dive into the folklore, into the supernatural stories that have turned these ruins into an absolute legend. The most famous story, the one everybody knows, is about Princess Ratnavati. She was said to be unbelievably beautiful, and a sorcerer, a man named Singya, who was deep into black magic, became completely obsessed with her. He knew he could never win her love fair and square, so he turned to his dark arts. He enchanted a bottle of oil that was meant for the princess, hoping it would make her his slave. But Ratnavati figured out his plot. She took the enchanted oil and threw it onto a massive boulder. Well, the boulder, now under the spell, started to roll, and it rolled right over Singya, crushing him. As he was dying, he used his last breath to lay this devastating curse on the city. Bhangarh would be destroyed, and no one who lived there would ever find peace, not even in the afterlife. But the story doesn't end there. Years later, a king tried to rebuild Bhangarh. An ascetic, a holy man named Balanath, agreed he would help lift the curse, but he had one critical condition. The shadow of the new fort must never fall on his sacred home. The king agreed, and for a while, they respected the rule. But his successors, well, they got ambitious. They built the palace higher and higher, until one day, its shadow finally touched the ashram. And the legend says the curse returned with a vengeance, sealing Bhangarh's fate forever. I mean, these are powerful, really compelling stories. But are they the whole truth? Let's just set aside the supernatural for a minute and look at what the historical records and the archaeology can tell us about what really happened to this magnificent city. Because before it was a ruin, you have to remember, Bhangarh was a thriving, prosperous capital. This wasn't just a fortress, it was a testament to the incredible wealth and power of its time. The historical timeline tells a very different story. Bhangarh was built in the 16th century, and it flourished for decades. Its decline wasn't some sudden, magical event. After a key ruler died around 1630, its importance just slowly faded as political power in the region shifted. But the final blow, the real nail in the coffin, came in 1783, a catastrophic famine known as the Chalisa. This wasn't a curse. This was a real-world disaster of starvation and disease that forced the city's final abandonment. And so much was lost. The ruins show us that this was a meticulously planned city. Just try to picture it. Bustling market streets, people selling jewels and spices. There was a mansion for dancers, the Nartakyan Ki Haveli, where the nights must have been filled with music. Grand temples stood tall, and at the very top of it all, a magnificent 7-story palace looked out over the landscape. This was a place of life, of art, of commerce. So, here's the crucial point. We have two competing narratives for why Bhangarh was destroyed. On one side, the legend points to a sorcerer's powerful, dying curse. On the other side, history points to a catastrophic famine and the disease that followed. One is supernatural, the other is tragically, devastatingly natural. But that still leaves us with a question, right? If it was a famine and not ghosts that emptied the city, what about all the strange phenomena people report today? The eerie sounds, the weird feelings, the cameras that suddenly stop working? What's going on there? For that, we have to turn from history to science, which actually offers some fascinating and very grounded explanations for why Bhangarh feels so haunted. First up, let's talk about those sounds. There's a phenomena called sound resonance. Basically, the fort's structure, with all its huge empty halls and narrow corridors, it creates a perfect echo chamber. So wind whistling through these ruins gets amplified and distorted, turning a simple breeze into something that sounds a whole lot like a whisper, or a moan, or even a scream. Then there's something called infrasound. These are sound waves that are at such a low frequency that our ears can't even hear them, but our bodies can feel them. And exposure to infrasound can create these very real physical sensations of anxiety, dread, a sudden chill down your spine, the exact feelings people often associate with a ghostly presence. So what about the electronics that go haywire? Well, the rock in the hills there is rich in certain minerals that can generate natural electromagnetic fields. And these fields are known to interfere with electronics like cameras and phones. Some studies even suggest they can affect the human brain, creating a sense of unease or that feeling of being watched. And maybe the most powerful force of all is just our own minds. It's called expectation bias. When you go to a place that everyone tells you is haunted, your brain is already on high alert, looking for proof. So the rustle of leaves isn't just the wind, it becomes footsteps. A shadow in the corner of your eye becomes a figure. You expect to find a ghost, so you do. And here's the bottom line. Despite countless paranormal investigations, with the night vision cameras and the audio recorders and all that, the number of supernatural claims at Bhangarh that have ever been scientifically verified is exactly 0. So does that mean the mystery is solved? Well, not quite. Because at Bhangarh, the myth and the reality have become so intertwined that it's created a whole fascinating mystery of its own. The truth is, while the historical account is tragic and the scientific explanations are logical, it's the ghost stories that give Bhangarh its modern identity. The curse is what keeps people coming back. In a very real way, the legend is what keeps the memory of this city alive.
In fact, this phenomenon has a name: dark tourism. People are drawn to the mystery and the thrill of a good scare. And if you look here, you can see the vast majority of visitors come for the haunted legend. The history and the architecture are secondary. The fear is the main attraction.
And this is a real double-edged sword. On one hand, it boosts the local economy and it keeps the site famous, which is great. But on the other, it completely overshadows the fort's rich history and its architectural importance. The site's entire identity becomes centered on fear, not fact.
Ultimately, the story of Bhangarh depends entirely on who you ask. A scientist will tell you it's about physics and psychology. A historian will tell you it's about famine and politics. But a local villager? They might just smile and tell you not to stay after dark, because someone is still awake in there. So what is the real truth of Bhangarh? Maybe it isn't a single answer. Maybe it's a blend of tragic history, atmospheric science, and the enduring power of a story that simply refuses to die. In the end, which of these truths matters most? Well, that's for you to decide.
If you like this video, please comment and subscribe my YouTube channel for more real horror story. Thank you.